Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 26 of the Shadow Cult podcast. There, I did the intro a lot smoother this time around.
Nice.
And yes, it is time for our second of 4 episodes all about Survivor Series as we are approaching... Isn't Survivor Series tomorrow night?
No, next week, I believe.
Next week?
Next
okay.
week.
I figured.
Mm-hmm.
But figured tonight, Scott, Walt, and I, we are here, and we are here to talk about one of the best Survivor Series pay-per-views of all time. Maybe not so much for the matches, but more for the booking and the angles. And we are referring to Survivor Series 1998.
Games!
Which that theme song is one of my favorite pay-per-view theme songs of all time. Sometimes whenever I'm in the mood, I'll listen to that song en masse. Don't know why, but I just really like that song.
Let's say hi to Arthur Jones, James from We Are Pro Wrestling,
Ricky,
Russell Reeves, and Ricky out there watching us on the chat as always. Hello, guys. Thanks for all joining us tonight.
Yep, not only on YouTube, but also over on Twitch as well.
And Twitch, yes.
Yeah, because I figured really the only live streaming I'm ever going to do on YouTube is Shadow Cult Podcast and maybe a Q&A. Other than that, like any other stream I'm doing, it's all going to Twitch now because I'm looking to expand on Twitch now. Mm-hmm. John Hancock, how's it going? And I like how you spell it, John Hancock.
Cock. That's awesome.
John Barleycorn.
Yes.
Cock.
A
doodle-doo. We had the same idea.
Yes, it did.
Oh, that was perfect. But anyways.
Cock, that's what I wrote. Cock-a-doodle-doo.
So with all that said, let's talk about the metrics of the show before we get into everything else. So, Survivor Series 1998, attendance 19,322, a sellout with 17,966 paid. However, there seem to be conflicting numbers. You go onto the Wikipedia page for this show, it says 21,000 plus. On oswreview.com, where I get most of my info about this, says what I just said. So I'm going more towards that direction. The live gate, $470,845. Merchandise numbers, $147,448. Pay-per-view buys, $600,000. Compared to Survivor Series 1997, the year prior, the attendance was down from 1997, just barely though. Livegate was up from 1997, merchandise sales up from 1997, and the pay-per-view buys up from 1997, and as James just said, most bought Survivor Series of all time. Compared to the rest of the pay-per-views that the WWF had in 1998, Survivor Series was the second highest attended, Unforgiven was first. Livegate was the fourth highest, WrestleMania 14 was first. Merchandise was the sixth lowest, Fully Loaded being the lowest. And then pay-per-view buys, third highest, with WrestleMania 14 being the highest. So, needless to say, quite a turnaround from the year prior, whereas just starting in 1997, like at WrestleMania 13 going forward, is when you would get the Attitude Era. But it didn't quite explode until around WrestleMania time of 1998. And then the numbers just keep getting higher and higher and higher. Yep. And this show, the most bought Survivor Series of all time. So, amazing business, to say the least. But without a doubt, good business. But enough of the metrics. What do we have en masse tonight for the Foo?
All right, for the Foo for Survivor Series 1998 Deadly Game, we have Vince in a wheelchair, a WCW reference, Dwayne Gill, the former Mrs. Stone Cold. We got the Stooges. We get Head. We got a man's man. And we get a Jim Barnett reference on the commentary. Good old JR throwing that in there. For the moves, we have lots of low blows. I mean, a lot of low blows. 4 double arm DDTs, a butterfly superplex, 2 ankle locks, 2 choke slams, a tombstone, 2 mandible claws, 2 people's elbows, a kind of sort of TKO or a TK-ho, if you will. 2 sable bombs. Why? I don't know. 4 stunners, top rope hurricane rana, 1 sky high, 1 famouser, 1 elbow off the second through a table, 2 rock bottoms, a sharpshooter, mudhole stopping, crotch chopping, ref bumping, heel turning, mooning, and swerving. And for the foo, we have belt foo, shoe foo, barricade foo, table foo, sock foo, stair foo, soda foo, chair foo, nightstick foo, and head foo. And that's your foo for this show.
And lots of boss man foo.
Yeah, lots of boss man.
Boss man.
That's the nightstick. That's the nightstick.
Big boss man is the star of the show. This one.
He's like,
he's like Gonzo trying to get the big actor throughout the whole show.
And it's funny to see him, at this point, because 13 years earlier, he is the badass of Jim Crockett Promotions with Big Bubba Rogers. And he just looks so much smaller now. I know it's because he dropped a lot of weight, but still, he doesn't even look like that tall anymore.
No, it's weird. It's weird.
It's really weird.
Yeah, and he's got the new
Shield
SWAT
outfit.
team, the Shield outfit. Yeah,
Shield influence.
Yep.
Take a trip down to Cobb County, Georgia.
Nice, James. He did more in this night than his last few years in WCW. Very true.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the show, oh Lord, we got a lot of matches to go through. 14 matches. Not going to talk about the dark matches or the Sunday night matches because there are too many.
No.
So if you combine all that,
whoever was at that event,
matches.
it was a long night of wrestling.
It was.
Yeah. But regardless, let's get on to the show itself. So every match on this card, except for 2, were Deadly Games tournament matches, because this was what the show was all about. The Deadly Games tournament to crown the new WWF champion, because for a little build up before we get started. So for those who have a tiny brain that don't remember, it was around this time, we go back 2 months prior at the Breakdown pay-per-view. You have the triple threat match with Stone Cold Steve Austin, Undertaker, and Kane, but Vince has the condition that Kane and Undertaker cannot pin one another. They have to pin Austin. Double chokeslam, they both pin Austin. Vince takes the Smoking Skull bell with him. You don't have it anymore! It's mine!
Screw you! You're fired!
Well, that would be the month after. So then afterwards, then the next night on Raw, Vince is about to crown a new champion when Austin on the classic Zamboni comes out, jumps off, knocks McMahon down, then gets arrested. And then Vince like, since you, Undertaker, and Kane did not protect your end of the deal, I'm not going to live up to mine. Instead, you two will go one-on-one at Judgment Day with Austin as the special guest referee. And then steps on the ankle, breaking his ankle. And then over the next several weeks, all sorts of craziness would happen. Probably the best stretch on Monday Night Raw in terms of moments for that whole month. And then you get to Judgment Day. Undertaker, Kane, Austin referee. Undertaker turns on Kane with Paul Bearer joining back with him. But Austin beats them both up and counts to 1, 2, 3, declaring himself Stone Cold Steve Austin. And then Vince, screw you, you're fired.
You remember TNA? TNM, the old computer game where you built your own promotion and all that, Scott?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually had my own pay-per-view called, when I did my own WWE, it was WWE In Your House, Screw You, You're Fired.
That'd be a great name for a pay-per-view now.
Oh, God.
AEW, we're talking to you.
Yeah, screw you, you're fired.
Just put everybody on the show that you took from WWE. It makes total sense.
Yeah. But then, so after Austin getting rehired by Shane McMahon with a 5-year contract.
5-year contract. 5 years, man.
5 years, which, funny enough,
he wouldn't last.
Yeah. But so then Vince decides, you know what? We're going to have a tournament at Survivor Series to crown a new champion. And we got, I'm trying to remember, we had 16 people, I believe. Well, 14 on the card. But because we'll get into that. So, we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into
that. We begin the night with the first of the first round matches in the tournament. It's Mankind versus a mystery opponent. After Mankind, and this is shortly after they did the grooming segment where he gets his hair cut, clean shaved.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just me,
Or it looks like Matt? It looks like our friend Matt Smith.
I was gonna say, is it just me, or is when Mick Foley's clean shaven, he looks weird as hell? I'm so used to him with facial hair.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like a friend of ours. He looks like a friend of ours.
Yeah, a guy you used to wrestle with. So,
I remember though when Vince was making the introduction for the mystery opponent, we got like the living room. I had a bunch of my friends over. The living room got loud because we were all trying to fucking figure out who it was. We're all like yelling these ideas back and forth.
What were some of those ideas, might I ask?
Oh gosh, I think someone's like, dude, it's Macho Man. It's Macho Man because he hasn't been on television. You know, But I was starting to kind of figure out like how things were in the business. I'm like, they're not going to have Mankind lose in the first round.
No,
so it's,
you couldn't.
Yeah.
But so we get we get that intro, and Vince bringing up WCW, and introduces Dwayne Gill, and then we get the match, glorified squash match, as Mankind defeated Dwayne Gill in 30 seconds.
With an amateur style pin.
Amateur style.
Yeah, which was very weird.
That's what you learn like with the first few weeks of amateur wrestling. Is take the guy down, dig your head into his side, hook the arm, hook the leg, cradle, got him.
Yeah.
Never worked.
And a week later, Dwayne Gill was rewarded with the light heavyweight championship.
Light heavyweight title.
And eventually becomes Gilbert.
Right.
He held the belt for like over a year, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But moving on to the second match of the Deadly Games first round, we have Al Snow versus Jeff Jarrett. Now, this is basically the battle of props, the guitar versus head, with Mr. Sacco on it. And Vince kept on hyping... Well, actually, that's later. I'll save it for later. But the commentators, Jerry Lawler, Jim Ross, were hyping up like, what if Mankind finds Sacco? He has to find Sacco on head. And then we get the finish to this match. This match, again, just to continue on with the tournament, not really anything much.
Most of the first round matches are like Raw matches, quick.
Yeah, essentially, yes. So, and don't forget Deborah being out there too. But then we get the finish where Al grabs the guitar, Jarrett grabs head, they go to hit each other, only for oh shit! Why in the hell?
Al goes to the guitar, swing and a miss. He kicks head, grabs head, knocks out Jarrett.
There we go. I kept thinking.
I got to commend Deborah because her facial expressions for everything were on perfect. When she sees what happens and Al's on the pin, she knows it's over with, and she's like, "What?" You know, like just she's not like like freaking out. She's just aggravated. She's like, "Fuck this, we're done." Yeah,
I'm going to be divorced in about 7 months, so I don't care. Which is true, which is what happened.
Yeah, she was married to Mongo at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But in the end, Al Snow defeated Jeff Jarrett in 3 minutes, 31 seconds.
Arthur asks, who was hot in 1998 Survivor Series, Deborah or Sable? I think Jacqueline was hotter than both of them.
Yeah.
Out of those two, I'm going to go Deborah.
For those two specifically, yeah, I'll go Deborah too.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Moving on to the third Deadly Games tournament first round match, we have Big Boss Man versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Essentially, this match was more a segment than a match, where it's just Boss Man wailing on Austin with the nightstick over and over. And that's going to be
the recurring theme throughout most of the show. Just matches are just there to carry a story. There's really no like great 5-star crazy match on this show at all.
No.
Right. No. But in the end, Stone Cold Steve Austin defeated Big Boss Man by disqualification in 3 minutes, 20 seconds. Then we get the fourth first-round match of the Deadly Games tournament, X-Pac versus Steven Regal. Is it just me, or did this match just feel random as hell?
Very random.
These two together.
Yeah.
However,
Regal was doing the man's man gimmick. It made it feel even weirder too.
Yeah, looking back at Regal at this point is so odd because you're so used to how he was in 2000 going forward. But regardless,
and
the match between these
the
two,
man thing only lasted a month and a half. It did not
roughly,
last long, but it is pretty much, unfortunately, like been an underlying factor of William Regal's career. No matter all the other great wrestling matches he's had, a lot of guys just go back to that man's man time. They loved it.
Didn't they rib him? Didn't like Daniel Bryan rib him on
his last match? The match he had with Daniel Bryan, on the way to the ring, Regal is walking down to his dun, 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 his Bellios, dominating music, and right in between, they cut that and they put on the man's man music, and he catches a little bit of a smile as he's walking to the ring for his last match with Daniel. So yeah, they did that to him.
That's funny.
You can check out the King's Court Table for Three on the network with Sheamus,
Regal and
Barrett, and Regal. You get more of the story, I think, there. So, but
I'll definitely have to check that out. But yeah, this match between these two, it was all right. I mean,
it was okay. Yeah.
It was an okay match for sure between these two, but the finish, they do a double count out finish, which I'm just like, what?
Yeah, but then it was really confusing. Double count out.
And then Vince tells Slaughter to go out there and make a 5-minute overtime sudden death. But X-Pac's already out of there.
He's gone. And Regal goes after him, and then it just...
and then they just forget about it. It was just such a mess.
Yeah, that's overbooking right there.
Yeah, it's total mess. So in the end, Steven Regal, X-Pac ended in a double count out at 8 minutes, 10 seconds.
Austin gets a bye. Austin gets a bye.
Austin gets a bye.
I don't know. You went that way.
Next up, the fifth first-round match of the Deadly Games tournament, Goldust versus Ken Shamrock. Now, it's so funny to think Dustin Runnels goes from being Dustin Runnels back to Goldust a month prior after the angle with Val Venus, the preacher's wife. And then essentially went back to Goldust just to play mind games on Val. Didn't think he was going to keep doing it, but here he was at least going through WrestleMania 15 with the Goldust gimmick before he's back to WCW.
And I'll give Dustin credit at this time. He was doing that. Remember that Eat Me gimmick?
Yeah, the ultra bizarre the artist formerly known as Goldust.
Well, no, he wasn't doing Goldust at this point. He was just being Dustin, but like a reformed Dustin. But
the born again Christian.
Right, kind of like that. But it was a campaign that it was an acronym for Eat Me, Entertainers Against something, and it was very short lived. So he would
do little segments in between matches where he's talking,
or in the case of the episode of Raw Tonight after King of the Ring, he comes out and joins on commentary for a random match.
Mm-hmm. So me and some friends got to meet him at an autograph signing, and my buddy Scarsdale, the guy who messed up Bob Backlund, that guy, he said to him, "Hey, who came up with the Eat Me gimmick?" And I got to give Dustin a lot of credit. He no-sold it. He's like, "Eat Me? What are you talking about?" Well, the entertainer, that's a serious campaign I am involved with, sir. I don't know where you're talking about with that. He was committed to the kayfabe on that one. He would not break. He was not making it like, what are you talking about?
was he Dustin or was he Goldust?
He was Dustin. He was Dustin.
He was Dustin? Okay.
This might have been like the weekend that me, Lee, Scotty, we got to like hit 3 different autograph signings in Albany in the same day because we actually went to an ECW house show the night before in Poughkeepsie. On that show was we saw at a stop off on the way home, Farouk and Too Cold Scorpio going into the rest stop there to get some chicken, and the next night we saw Ron Simmons. The next day at the autograph sign, how was that chicken yesterday? Oh, it was good, man. It was really good.
Damn, it was really good.
Damn, it was really good.
When I met Ron Simmons, I poured my heart out and told him how his win over Vader was one of the most inspiring things as a fan when I was a kid watching him grow up. And you asked him about chicken.
Yep. He's a regular dude,
man. But regardless, and Shamrock at this time was the Intercontinental Champion, so he has that going for him. So eventually, if we ever get to talk about King of the Ring 1998 next June, we'll definitely talk more about like Shamrock and everything. But this match, again, all right, I guess it was just there. But in the end, Shamrock defeated Goldust in 5 minutes 58 seconds. Now we get to history being made here, but before that, So the next match is the final first round match of the Deadly Games tournament. Originally, it was supposed to be The Rock versus Triple H, but shortly after SummerSlam, granted, Triple H wrestled a couple more matches in the month after, but he needed to take time off for knee injury.
Mm-hmm.
So they hype up this match, which I do kind of feel like, and I'll talk more about it when we get to next week's episode for 99, where they still advertised Triple H being in the match, but you knew he wasn't going to be there. So instead they do this angle where The Rock's in the ring, Patterson, Briscoe, and Slaughter are out there to announce Triple H's replacement, and it's Big Boss Man. And Jim Ross, I love him. He's like, wasn't Boss Man's already eliminated? Why are you changing the rules tonight? And then just as soon as Boss Man gets in the ring, bell rings, inside cradle, 1, 2, 3. The Rock beats Big Boss Man in 3 seconds. Still to this day, the shortest match in company history. So,
Mr. McMahon, as James said.
Oh, Mr. McMahon.
Briscoe. Mr. McMahon.
Mm-hmm.
But now moving on to the quarterfinals match. And this one, Undertaker versus Kane, because since they were in the Judgment Day match, both get a bye into the quarterfinals. And again, they were still building off of the classic feud that started back the year prior. And
but
hell,
this time it's gotten really bizarre and crazy at this point.
It's really because now, like after Judgment Day happened, the next night on Raw, when Paul Bearer is joined back with Taker, we get the reveal that Taker was the one who set the fire because Kane was weak.
And Paul Bearer is Kane's father, and he confessed to Jerry Lawler in a candid interview. It got It just started going back and forth and getting weird, and it's like you said, Undertaker turned out to be the one to burn the house down and kill their parents, and but that's okay. I mean, they're the Brothers of Destruction reformed, like a year or two later, or throughout the entire.
That woman, she molested me, took my cherry, took the fruit of my loins, and delivered tea.
You buried your salami in the Undertaker's mother. How about that? Well, I was quite the young man, but I was quite the good-looking young man back then. Now, I don't longer apologize.
One leg in Atlanta and one leg in Los Angeles.
Yeah, for those who don't know what we're talking about, watch the segment Jerry Lawler, Paul Bearer backstage explaining the creation of Kane, and watch the shoot interview with Percy and Jim Cornette where they talk about it, and it's just as funny.
Yes,
so
even better.
Yeah, but with all that said, we get to this match. You can tell by this point the match quality between Taker and Kane began to gradually get worse and worse and worse.
19 years old, I was done with Taker and Kane part 500.
Yeah. It's like the first two matches, WrestleMania and the Inferno match, no way you're going to top it unless it was a Hell in a Cell match. Like it should have been at WrestleMania 15, and if we talk about that, we'll go more in depth about that match. But point being, yeah, after the Inferno match, you could tell their matches just got worse and worse and worse over the years to the point where their matches in 2010 are among some of the worst world title matches the company has ever done, and it's sad. But that's just a grim reality of where they were heading. But in the end, I mean, this match wasn't terrible. It was just there.
Again, it was there, yeah. There's a lot of there on this show.
One simple tombstone, whereas at WrestleMania a few months before, it took 3 tombstones to pin Kane.
Yeah.
Now it takes 1 tombstone and Paul Bearer holding Kane's leg.
Yes.
Holding it, not pinning it down, holding it.
Holding it, yep.
Yeah. And Ricky just commented saying, I think by this time the rivalry between Undertaker and Kane lost a spark. Yes. The closest they ever got to getting that spark back was the build up to WrestleMania 20.
Even in that, what was the internet complaining about then? Just trust me, there was an internet wrestling community back then, and they bitched about shit like, this stuff is supposed to be the golden years, the glory years. They bitched about it back then, too.
Oh, yeah.
One of the things they bitched about was, can we please end Undertaker versus Kane? We're tired of it.
We're done with it, yeah.
Yeah. At least for a long time. If you want to do it again, wait it out.
That and Billy Gunn was the worst wrestler in wrestling.
Yeah.
It was a popular thing to go on about.
Yeah, they hated him.
But in the end, Undertaker defeated Kane in 7 minutes 16 seconds. Next up, the second quarterfinals match of the Deadly Games tournament. We have Al Snow versus Mankind, and this was mostly a comedy match because of the whole Socko's on head. Will Mankind discover Socko? He eventually does.
It's a great take on the back suplex, and head just rolls right there, right in Mick's face, like, huh?
Yeah. And then he grabs Socko and starts beating up the head.
Yeah.
Was Al laughing at the end of this match? Because it looked like
Probably.
he was.
He might have.
Instead of selling the man quality, it looked like he was trying really hard not to laugh.
I always loved the commentary that Al and Mick would throw at each other. Like Mick went on commentary one time when Al was wrestling. Hey, it's a rumored thing that Al Snow's going to become a spokesman for Lazy Boy, but that's not a good idea because everyone knows that Al can't sell chairs.
Funny enough, one of the DVDs, I got the Mick Foley's Hard Knocks and Cheap Pops DVD where they show that part. I would like to give my sincere congratulations to Al Snow for acquiring that endorsement deal with Lazy Boy, which is funny because Al usually doesn't sell chairs. Mm-hmm. And he explained that like Al hated Mick for that and did not talk to him for a while.
There was a lot of little inside digs about that. Like, so what's it like carrying a head around for all of their life? Is it any worse than carrying around a sock?
And what's funny, later in that DVD, they do behind the scenes of SmackDown for UPN, and they're in the empty arena, and Edge is sitting in the seat in the stands, and Foley's like, "Hey Edge, I got a joke for you. I got a good Al Snow joke for you. Let's hear it. How many matches does it take to fit a Best of Al Snow tape? I don't know. None, because there is no such thing." And then they show him as Santa Claus opening gifts through the bag. Oh, it's the Best of Al Snow. I can't wait to watch this. Wait a minute. There's nothing in here. Of course there is nothing. There's no such thing as the Best of Al Snow. Merry Christmas, Santa. The Best of Al Snow. Bang! But in the end, Mankind defeated Al Snow in 3 minutes 55 seconds. And then we get the final quarterfinal match of the Deadly Games tournament, and kind of an old rivalry renewed for one night. Ken Shamrock versus The Rock. Now, I must say, Rock and Shamrock, arguably the most underrated feud of the entire Attitude Era. Because you go back the year before when the feud started at Survivor Series 97 on opposing teams for the Survivor Series match. Right. And then it just keeps escalating, especially at the Royal Rumble where they have the IC title match, which Shamrock had won, but the finish. And then WrestleMania, where they had way too short of a match that ended up being a reversal of decision for The Rock to retain after Shamrock snapped. And then you get their really good King of the Ring final at King of the Ring, which Shamrock won. And you gotta blah, blah, blah. And with that match, little hint for WWE, learn continuity, because in that King of the Ring match, Shamrock, after Rock taps, he's like, okay, I'll break it up, because he knew if he held on to it longer, he was going to get DQ'd. So, continuity. WWE could use a little bit of that nowadays. But anyways, so with this one between Rock and Shamrock, at this point, the best match on the card, it was a decent match. Not the best match of their feud. Well, actually, no. Yeah, not the best match of the feud, but better than their WrestleMania match. Just because it was double the time here, so. And the finish, Boss Man shows up for the third time and gets on the apron to throw the nightstick to hand over to Shamrock, who, by the way, I believe Shamrock is in the corporation at this point, or in the inception of it. And he goes to throw, he throws it to Shamrock, but Rock intercepts it, and I love the Miami Hurricane
One-handed catch.
One-handed catch, wham, nightstick. 1, 2, 3. The Rock defeats Ken Shamrock in 8 minutes 20 seconds. Okay, you can.
He didn't freeze. He just did that.
Yeah, I know.
It looked really good. It looked good, but no.
But before we continue, I just have to say, watching the network version of this show, Oh my god, it was frustrating. All the constant editing of WWF from the commentators. Yet there was a couple times where they didn't edit it at all.
They didn't. Why the hell did they fuzz out this? But there's JR and Jerry Lawler talking with a guy right behind him with a sign that says tits on it. And that's
exactly. I don't get it.
Did they bleep out Sable saying pissed off?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So stupid. WWE Network, stop doing
continuity,
this.
It's inconsistency with what's okay for WWE or what's not. It just like Paul Bearer says it in his promo with Undertaker going into the match with Stone Cold. It's like, I will be the manager of the WWF champion. Then block that out.
Yeah, it was inconsistent editing on the network version of this show. So stupid. But but now we take a break from tournament action with the first of 2 non-tournament matches and the first of 3 championship matches of the night for the WWF Women's Championship. Jacqueline defending against Sable with Shane McMahon as the special guest referee. I mean, the women's title...
I didn't hate it.
I mean, the women's title was just brought back, and to be fair, these were the only 2 women to really go at it for the belt at this point. Eventually, you would get Ivory, Tori, and some women would start coming in. Luna would be back around this time. So yeah, it was a gradual progression, but it just was these 2 for the time being.
And a couple of things too about this match. Jacqueline tries to make Sable work. She tries to get her to do stuff, to get her involved, get her just, instead of just doing the stereotypical bullshit, try to get a little bit more out of her. Mm-hmm. But frick, what the hell? Mark Marrow takes a low blow and a Sable bomb on the floor, no sells it for the rest of the match.
Yeah. And on top of that, this would be the last pay-per-view appearance Mark Marrow would ever make in WWF, because just a couple weeks later on Raw, he loses the match to Dwayne Gill, where he threatens to quit, and he loses and then gets released from his contract afterwards. Right. So,
and Sable then meets Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, that will be for another couple of years down the road.
Down the road, yeah.
But she was. When was she gone? Like a year later?
Late 99, yeah.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And then came back in 2003, then was gone at the end of 2004.
Yeah. And she met Brock Lesnar.
Yep.
Although, real quick, I've been asking this question for so long. Ever since they brought Brock Lesnar back in 2012, why don't they ever mention his marriage with Sable? Still.
Why?
But still, even when in UFC, they showed Sable all the time, and even in New Japan.
There's no reason to bring her. If they're going to mention her name, then that's going to somehow make people think that she's going to show up on TV and maybe back him up. There's absolutely no need for that.
I mean, no need, but still, just a reference at least. They just never, not even in interviews, they don't ever mention it.
They just don't even need to do it because let's face it, he's a bigger star than she is, and than she ever became. So they don't want to take the shine off of Brock.
No,
I guess. But anyways, honestly, it's like the match wasn't bad, but honestly, did they really need to have this match on the show given that we already have so many tournament matches to go through?
And they could have just could have been on Sunday.
This could have been on Sunday Night Heat and wouldn't have heard anything, but we had it anyways. And Sable defeated Jacqueline in 3 minutes 14 seconds.
One quick aspect to mention, too, with this tournament, and it made me think of the title tournament from WrestleMania 4. They used to make a big deal about time limits. Mm-hmm. Like this night, the opening round is 10 minutes. And it made me think to the WrestleMania 4 tournament, like the opening round was 20, and then the quarterfinals was 30, and the semis was 45.
And then the main finals event had no time limit.
Yeah, they really made a big deal out of it back then, and including with this show too. That's why the 10-minute time limit matches are so fast. It's like they got to get in, get out. And JR even references that in the commentary too.
Yeah, WWE ought to do more time limit matches nowadays. Certainly help structure the cards out a little bit better.
Look who was booking back then. Nobody cares about time limits.
Exactly.
I'm going to watch a match and they're going 25.
DQ you.
I'm going to change the channel, but you got to respect this. So I mean,
but
I'm not going to watch a guy do a figure four or a headlock for 10 minutes.
And this is also very Russo. All the little nuances of Russo booking is here. 10,000 run-ins, interferences, DQ finishes, multiple count-out finish. Just like all kinds of like. And
I wonder if Vince was busting Vince. I wonder if McMahon was busting Russo's chops throughout the night. Oh, hey, how about another boss man run-in? Why not?
I think at that point Vince was like so desperate. He's like, "Yeah, whatever, let's do it. I need
Vince.
help.
I got an idea for the Sable Jackie match.
Bro.
Are we gonna have the boss man run in? No. I promise you, we're done with that tonight. Get boss man ready for his match.
What the hell is shit stain doing? Sending boss man out there again? Why do that to Big Bubba?
I just can't. Bubba, I think we gotta pay you double tonight.
I seen Bubba come more times tonight than his wife ever has.
Oh my lord. Anyway.
Oh, Jimmy, I'm out of breath, man. Oh, Jimmy.
Anyway.
Bubba, at this rate, you could be going 20 and 30 with Hoot and Punky.
Anyway, moving on. Back to tournament action. We get the first semifinal match of the Deadly Games tournament. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Mankind. Now, with this match, finally we get a pretty damn good match on this night. This was actually a really good match between these two. Yeah. I can't think of a bad Foley-Austin match. Even if they were short, they were always fun to watch.
It worked.
No, this was good. This was real good.
Yeah, and oh man, the finish to really set a lot of stuff up. However, in the long run, with the build-up leading up to the moment, kind of felt wasted. I'll explain. So we get the finish where Austin hits the stunner on Mankind, and Austin had the match won. Vince gets up. Oh my God, it's Jerry! Oh my God, it's a miracle! Are you sure? Are you sure about that? Pulls the referee out. Was it Hebner ref in this match?
No,
or
not
was
Hebner.
It Kyoto?
I think it was Kyoto.
Yeah, pulled him out, and then Austin, another stunner. Shane comes out. 1, 2. It's Austin, you motherfucker! And it's like, I get why they did that to begin the real corporation. In hindsight, when you go back the month before, the week after Judgment Day, where Shane reveals he was the one that brought Austin back, what was the point of doing that if Shane was going to turn?
And well, they even referenced that. They used that as part of the story later on anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, they use that. Like, I thought, like Jim Ross, I thought Shane was a man with integrity and character. So, and then we get the end where Mankind hits Austin with, I forgot what the hell it was he hit him with.
It was double arm DDT, I think.
Well, no, he got hit with something.
Oh.
Before the double arm DDT.
Yeah, you're right. Well, I can't remember.
This match almost fell apart completely because of another boss man run.
Yeah, there is that awkward moment after Shane does the turn that he dumps out of the ring, and Austin like almost goes after him and then stops, and then sticks his head out again and comes back. It's like, who forgot what? Somebody forgot something, or somebody got a miscue. Somebody forgot something.
So Patterson and Briscoe with the weak chair shot to allow Mankind to get the pinfall victory.
Yeah, there it was, the chair shot. That's what it was.
Is it just weird, or was McMahon, Briscoe, and Sergeant Slaughter skipping back to the dressing room?
They were.
They were AJ Lee before AJ Lee.
Well, yeah, because McMahon was playing off that he didn't have a bad ankle. By the way, they're blowing up fireworks across the lake there, so that's why I'm looking at my window. Across the river, I should say. Yeah.
But in the end, Mankind defeated Stone Cold Steve Austin in 10 minutes, 27 seconds.
Pissed off crowd, too, mind you. They're fucking hot over that.
Yeah.
This is the beautiful thing about this whole event here. Is
they were able to play the crowd very well. Something that they don't do very much nowadays.
The flipping of emotions. And Mankind, at this point right now, was the top heel of the night. Whereas The Rock is starting to get a lot of babyface stuff going on here.
Yep.
It's like we're doing this right here. We're doing this, and all of a sudden, wham!
Yeah. But moving on, speaking of The Rock, the second of two semifinal matches in the Deadly Games tournament, Undertaker versus The Rock. And with this match, is it just me, or does The Rock and Undertaker never really clicked in any match? Because you look at their combined best 3 opponents, Austin, Triple H, and Mick Foley. Taker was able to get great matches with them. Rock was able to get great matches with them. But Rock and Taker together, I mean, they never had a bad match, but they never had a classic, and I don't know why.
I don't recall a great match between the two.
Yeah.
I can't think of a great match.
They had a couple of good ones, like King of the Ring 99, No Way Out 2002, but they just never clicked like their other opponents. I don't understand it. Yeah. But, and then the finish here, we get another DQ, but it was kind of an interesting one because it kept more story going forward. So Boss Man comes out again, and Kane eventually comes out, choke slams The Rock to get Undertaker disqualified. And that was a bit confusing because Jerry Lawler's like, are they back together? No, they're not. Yeah. And then they start beating each other up through the crowd. But it is what it is. So The Rock defeated The Undertaker via disqualification in 8 minutes, 23 seconds. Now we get the penultimate match of the night and the second of 3 championship matches of the night. A triple threat match for the WWF Tag Team Championships. Champions New Age Outlaws versus the Headbangers and D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry. Oh my God, I hate this match.
This match is the shits. But it's terrible. You got to reference also at this time. This is the fans bring the sign era. You know, the craziness of the fan sign.
Probably the most insane sign I ever seen. The Outlaw sign. That was insane.
The big banner they had with the whole freaking promo on it. That's fucking copier paper, folks. That's like printed off a goddamn printer, for fuck's sake. You know, it's what it looks like. But it just
and even before they did their shtick, they look up and they see and they're like, "Oh my God,
they're putting it over." Yeah, you believe that? That's the intensity. That's the depth that fans went to back then to put this entire phrase on 3 gigantic things of paper. I mean, you're not.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages.
The whole thing. Yeah. The whole thing is there. Yep. It's all out there, and they get in the ring and they're looking like, holy shit.
Yeah, and they're like, look over there, Billy. Oh my God.
Holy shit. So yeah, they put it over.
But this match did not need to be on the main card. Again, could have been on Sunday Night Heat. Cut the time in half, and it probably would have been okay at best.
It had a bad finish. It's really, I mean, hot tag to Billy.
A fuster clock.
Pops for it, but after that, just falls apart.
It's a fuster clock, is what I call it. And also they tried to do it where it's a triple threat match where you have a member of each team going at it. It's like,
and
did not work.
Also it's got the like you said, it's got the 3 guys in the ring happening. It's just all over the place. Doesn't really get a good finish, and it makes no sense to like James said. Put that on Sunday Night Heat. Did not be on mean to be on the main show,
especially because you already have 12 tournament matches in one show.
Although we do have the Future Lowdown in this match together.
That's true. But in the end, New Age Outlaws defeated D'Lo, Mark, and the Headbangers in 10 minutes, 10 seconds. Now, before we get to the main event, remind me, when was it on this show that Jim Ross took the shot at WCW for Halloween Havoc?
I don't remember.
Because I don't remember either.
Yeah.
But
I don't remember when that was. I remember him mentioning the Jim Barnett thing when he was putting over Mick Foley's shoes. Those nice Gucci shoes from the Jim Barnett collection. I was like, that was cool. I like that. But I don't remember him doing the Halloween Havoc thing.
But anyway, so now we get to the main event of the night, the finals of the Deadly Games tournament, the 3rd and final championship match of the night for the WWF Championship, Mankind versus The Rock. And who would have thought this would be the beginning of one of the best Attitude Era feuds going for the next several months. And this match, really damn good. Arguably, though, maybe their, quote, worst match of the feud, but it's still a really good match. It's just their matches they would have after this just got better and better and better up until the latter match on Raw after Valentine's Day Massacre. But yeah, and I can't think of a bad Foley Rock match Even their match the year before at Cold Day in Hell in Your House was actually good. When Rock
The
was
empty arena
Rocky
match was
Maivia. Yeah. But, yeah, an awesome main event. You had a lot of cool moments here. And also, they play up Mankind's got boots on after he lost his shoes and his tux pants.
Yep.
And one of the craziest spots you see was Foley with the stairs. Rock nails him with the chair and just kept wailing on the stairs, just bashing him to death. And then an ouchie spot, even though it didn't look bad, Foley explains it on the Hard Knocks and Cheap Pops DVD, a spot that actually hurt him pretty bad. The elbow from the second rope when he went through the announce table, he hit the side of his knee on the edge of the table, and it said he messed his knee up pretty bad from that. So even though it didn't look bad,
I love how throughout this match, though, they are still, right up until the very end, teasing that The Rock is the face in this match and Mankind is the heel.
Yep.
And they hold that in.
And Jim Ross kept saying, like,
end.
mix of being played like a fiddle by Vince. Yeah. And sure enough, that would be the case, because then we get the finish. 1 year after the Montreal Screwjob, we get the repeat of the Montreal Screwjob. Rock putting the sharpshooter on Foley. Vince at ringside. Ring the bell. Oh, and I forgot to mention before the match, Shane and Vince and Bossman come back from being chased by Austin.
Yes.
And they send Bossman away, which was funny. And Shane like, but if you see Steve, give him one of these. So I forgot about that. But yeah, the finish, Vince tells the ring the bell, and we're like, what? And then The Rock is in the ring. Group hug, and Vince JR, what the hell? They screwed us all!
They
were in on it all along.
Yep.
And Foley acting all confused, and during the entire fucking. And then we get the promo, and then Foley going like, "I'm confused as to what the hell is going on here." Well, let me explain
this. I forget the dad.
Then let me explain. Belt to the back of the head, and they just beat up on Foley. I give you your new World Wrestling Federation champion, the corporate champion, The Rock. And
that's where the show should have ended. That's where the show should have ended.
Yes, they should not have done the thing with Austin after it. They did not need to do that. Saved it for the next night. Arthur made a good point in the comments. Don't forget the eyebrow, the little signal.
Like he did when the Nation turned on Farouk.
Exactly, when they had him turn on the Nation. Yep. And that leads to the whole promo. I listened to arenas of Rocky Sucks and Die Rocky Die, blah, blah, blah. Then you should have had Austin come out, stun him, and build from there. Not do it on the pay-per-view. Go off and pissed off, man.
You know who does the same thing, the same exact thing with the excessiveness is AEW. They do the same shit. Yep, they just add way too much on. They add a little extra chapter or a little extra minute or two to the segment that just kind of kills the vibe. Yeah,
a little epilogue to the match that you don't need to do.
Epilogue. Yeah.
Because that's where I thought the show was going to end. I hadn't seen this so long. When Shane and Vince raised his hands, like you said.
Yep.
But no, here comes Steve. It's like, no, why?
And James just brought up, could have done the Austin stuff after the show went off the air for the crowd in attendance.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And then they could have shown the footage of it on Raw the next night.
There you go.
And then build up from there. But we got what we got. But in the end, The Rock defeated Mankind in 17 minutes, 10 seconds to become the new WWF champion in just 2 years after his debut. So overall, Survivor Series 1998, while not the best show in terms of the matches, but the tournament and the story is what makes this arguably the second greatest Survivor Series of all time.
Yep.
Because, and also, as much as it might pain some people to think, this was Vince Russo's golden night of being a writer, booker, what have you.
Peak.
This was his peak. After this, he could not do anything right afterwards.
He blew his entire load in one show. So
yeah.
Can't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, now time for best match and worst match. I would say for best match, Rock Mankind.
I guess, yeah.
Because it was a really good match.
It leads. It's the
and it begins the great feud that will go on through the next several months.
Right, leading to WrestleMania.
And then worst match, I'd give it to the tag title match.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it just has a flat finish. They're when they get the hot tag to Billy Gunn, like I said, the crowd pops. But other than that, it's messy, it's sloppy, it's got a bad finish. So
And the format of it was pretty dumb too.
yeah. So it didn't need to be done that way.
Yeah.
There you go, man.
So that was Survivor Series 1998. Before we get into questions, be sure to send them in the chat because we'll be in here for about another half hour chatting away with y'all. Reminder of the next 2 episodes we're doing for the rest of the month. Next week, we're going to cover the year after Survivor Series 1999. And then in the final week, with possibly 2 guests, my buddy Stuart and OK Fabe, we're doing 2002. And then, reminder for December, it's going to be Starcade. And I actually have a list of which Starcades I would like to do. I wanted to hear your guys' thoughts about it. So the first one, 89.
Starcade 89,
Yeah.
the Iron Team tournament?
Yep.
Okay. I mean,
We'll see. Maybe.
It
Let's
could
do the
always
other
change.
names. Let's do the other numbers.
Then the next one, 93. Because you had Flair and Vader. 97. I feel like we have to talk about 97. And
Yeah,
yeah,
then,
97 is imperative. What about 95? Because 95 was very unique in its own sense.
Mhm.
That was the New Japan
Yeah.
crossover.
and then the
Right.
last one I had on list was 98.
Yeah, that's the end of Goldberg thing.
That is- the
Yeah,
end of
because I
Goldberg.
know we'd talk a good amount about that.
That
would
is the end of Goldberg and the day after the finger poke of doom.
Yes. Yep. So we could do 98, 95. I would love to do a classic one, though, like 84.
Oh,
85.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
We really should do that.
Yeah. What about 83, the first one? Because you
Could
had
do
Piper
the gold.
and Valentine and dog
Yep,
collar
there
match.
for the gold.
Yeah.
Yep.
83 is a good one to do. 83, 85, or even 86.
Yep. Okay. Well, so I like 83, 95, 98, and 93. What does that tell you? 83, 93, 95, 98.
Yeah.
Want to do that?
Yeah, why not?
Does that sound cool? Okay.
Yeah, so let me
Write
fix
it
the
down.
WordPad. 83, then
93,
93, 95, 98.
95, 98.
Okay.
So there you
You
go.
want me to see if Mesa is available for 95?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, see if we can get
Yep.
Steve on here. Mm-hmm.
And then I've actually already went ahead and gotten a list made for Royal Rumble month in January.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you guys think about this? Started off with 92.
Yes.
And then because kind of keeping on with the theme of the year we've done the most shows about, 95.
95. Yeah, kind of, yeah.
98.
98. Yep.
2001.
Okay. Mhm.
And 2004.
Yeah, that's fine. I think that's cool.
Yeah. And then as far as, and James said he'd come on for Starcade 93. That's good.
Cool. All right.
I've kind of gotten like, I don't have for anything for February other than one show that we have to talk about in February, the St. Valentine's Day Massacre 99.
Yeah.
Because ironically, the day we would do that episode, day before Valentine's Day.
Coincidentally, not ironically.
Coincidentally.
How about in February we do one of the episodes in February, since there really is no like
Really
theme for that
no
month?
like theme that month. Yeah.
We could do one of our playlist episodes where we each pick 3 matches or 2 or 3 matches.
Yeah.
You know.
That would be good.
Do that.
There's several ideas we could do for February since there's really no. Well, maybe should do a Super Brawl because that was a February paper.
Where's Oz?
Oh
That
god.
was in May though. The first
It
one
was,
was
it was May. Yeah, that's right.
Well, we can't do 93. We've already done 93. What was
That's right.
another good Super Brawl that we could do for a one-off in February? Maybe 98? Super Brawl
Kinda.
98? Well, I'm
I
trying to
really-
remember. No, that was uncensored.
that was
Triple Threat with-
Sting and Hogan. That was Sting and Hogan the rematch, and where Scott turned on Rick.
Let's get through December, January first. We'll worry about
Yeah.
February later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing we need to plan right now. Well, we got Starcades lined up. We got Royal Rumbles lined up. So
Yeah.
I think we're good.
And
with that
Ricky
for
said he'd come on for Rumble 04, so there
Cool.
you go.
now.
Yeah,
Ricky did
finally
present
we'll
a
get you on
question.
there.
So Ricky did present a question. If WWE decided to bring back King of the Ring, who do you see being crowned King of the Ring from the current roster, either from NXT, SmackDown, or Raw?
Well, they brought King of the Ring. They brought King of the Ring back. It's King Corbin. They're still running with that
As a pay-per-view, I think he means.
Oh, as a pay-per-view,
which they really should. What, And in fact, I'm going to get into this conversation.
Oh, John Hancock, we're going to.
At some point we will, even though it's going to be a nightmare.
John Hancock said you guys should review Heroes of Wrestling. Oh, we are.
Oh,
we are.
I can see the referee who did that show is available.
On here.
He has nothing bad to say about the show. He said it was a good time. It was a positive positive experience.
So King of the Ring. Who could be King of the Ring now?
What I would do is I would book half of it. I would book 3 guys from Raw, 3 guys from SmackDown, and 2 wild card guys from NXT. That's how I'd book it.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me,
Walter.
I think for me, well, before I talk about who I think, I was going to preface this, like, as far as the pay-per-views now, WWE, you don't need to be doing monthly pay-per-views anymore. I know a lot of people are going to say, but AEW's competition, they're not even a pimple on WWE's ass.
No, they're not. No, sorry.
So, they don't need to do monthly pay-per-views anymore. They could just go back to what they did before. Big Five, Rumble.
We saw this week that the announcement came that WWE has ended house shows. They're not having anymore, and that's regardless of coronavirus or not. House shows are done for WWE, which is, I think, is more of a financial decision because they have not been making money on those things. Yeah. They never make money on house shows nowadays. So it's a completely outdated concept. They don't need to do it anymore. And a monthly pay-per-view, yeah. I mean, what's a pay-per-view now? When you have the network, you don't need a pay-per-view anymore. That's again.
They all feel like Clash of Champions now, with the exception.
Yeah, and like
of the important ones.
Yeah, and what I'm pitching as far as what they should do for the pay-per-views and what have you in between, go back to like how it was before. Rumble, Mania, King of the Ring, SummerSlam, Survivor Series. In between, bring back Saturday Night's Main Event as like a network one-off in between each show. Yeah, I think that would be perfect. Yeah. Now, as far as the question of who I could see being King of the Ring in the current
Walter
roster,
says Walter, which makes sense.
Well, here's the thing. Also, when was the last time somebody really benefited from being King of the Ring?
Brock.
It's kind of
true.
Well, that's actually, true. No. Booker T did because he did get a world title out of it. So honestly, I would just say the last one was Booker.
That's probably it. We're going back a long time there.
Yeah,
what, 15 years?
14 years, yeah.
14 years.
But I would, off the top of my head right now, without really thinking about it, I make Kevin Owens King of the Ring.
King Kevin.
Yep, because it would King Owens, it'd be Blackheart, King of Hearts, the whole connection with Owen Hart there, you could make it a whole thing about Kevin thinking about, I'm entering the King of the Ring when I think about Owen Hart. He was the reason I got into pro wrestling. I remember seeing him growing up, becoming King of the Ring, and it's my dream to one day be that too, for my son, for my daughter, for all that shit. So something along those lines.
And then for my pick, because one other thing you got to consider is like, out of all of them who not only could benefit, but also do a good thing with the quote king gimmick. Granted, he'd take it into a really dark place, but he could make it work. Karrion Kross. Because, he could kind of take like the Sid thing, I rule the world now, and the world shall bow to my feet, or you're all dead, something like that. I think that could work if it was Karrion Kross.
Oh, that definitely could work.
And as Ricky brought up, same question, but for a Queen of the Ring. Well, in that case,
happen.
Which still could happen.
It still could happen, and I'm gonna go like if they would let Scarlett Bordeaux wrestle, it would be her because it'd just be perfect to go along with Cross. But if not, Charlotte, I guess, just because it's Charlotte. So
I would I go completely opposite and get a wild card in there, Nikki Cross. The crazy queen.
Lana,
no. Queen of the tables.
Queen of the tables.
Oh man.
When are they going to end that fucking thing? Come on.
When they release her, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
And speaking of releases, the big news came out this week. Zelina Vega, gone.
Basically, she got Curtis Turnered, is what happened. Yeah. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, because of the circumstance of Zelina getting released over trying to propose a union of sorts, the same thing happened way back in the early 1960s in NASCAR, where their most popular driver at the time, Curtis Turner, and another driver named Tim Flock were starting up the first sports union, the association, or I forget what it's called. It was like the Federation of Professional Athletes, the FPA. And so they were trying to get the first sports union off the ground, not just for racing, but for all of sports. And the owner of the sport, Bill France Sr., said anyone who's in the FPA will not be allowed to race in NASCAR ever. And Curtis Turner ended up getting banned from the sport for about 4 years. He didn't get to come back till 65. So this is basically what happened. Zelina Vega got Curtis Turnered.
Unionization in wrestling is something that, and honestly,
doesn't happen really at all.
It's a pipe dream. And it's taboo to bring up because you know who else talks about unionization a lot? Ryback. And where has Ryback been on since he left the company?
Nowhere.
It goes back to Jesse Ventura was a big talker about unions way back in the day. But what did Jesse do? He did a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He got in a SAG. He got his health insurance. He's happy. Sasha Banks can do that now with her debut on The Mandalorian. Terry Funk did that. Give us the Roddy Piper story. Give us the Roddy Piper story, Walter.
Oh, Roddy Piper learned. Roddy Piper got his SAG card way before They Live, way before Hell Comes to Frogtown. He actually applied for a SAG card when he was in the Henry Winkler wrestling movie, The One and Only. There were wrestlers on the West Coast that they were bringing in. Gene LaBelle was like their wrangler. And LaBelle showed Piper what needed to be done, what qualifications he had to have to apply for his SAG card. And I believe Piper had a line in the movie. Yeah, you had like a certain number of speaking lines in the movie. I think you had I think Piper might have had a couple. Mm-hmm. And even though they're just like something that was set off screen, or as part of banter in the background. LaBelle told him to apply for it, and he fucking got it. And Piper had health insurance for his entire wrestling career. Mm-hmm. He had no problems taking. Remember that time he took off to get his hip surgery done and all that in the late 90s? Yep. So
Terry Funk got his insurance when he was in Paradise Alley. So
Edge when he was in Highlander, from what you guys do.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yep. So all that stuff.
James
is correct. People need to realize the union won't just affect WWE. It affects all wrestling, and
at the same time, a union in wrestling probably will never happen. It's like, it's slim to the chances of really any union aside from perhaps NFL getting up off the ground is slim to none.
Yeah, you think? That's what I was saying. You think AEW is going to be all about a union? No, they're not. Shad Khan deals with union issues with his football team. He's not going to deal with union issues with his wrestlers. And no, AEW does not provide health insurance for its entire roster of talent. Only the ones that have backstage roles, like the road agents, of course, the VIPs, of course, or the executive VPs have the insurance.
So James has said Beefcake got a SAG card for No Holds Barred that paid for his face surgery in 1990. He wasn't in No Holds Barred. How did he get that?
Wait a minute. No, I think he was. I think he did some stunt work.
Stunt work. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Because he's not in the movie itself as a character.
Yeah.
Let me take a look here.
Double check.
I thought I read somewhere that he had some involvement in No Holds Barred. I mean, he's Hogan's buddy, so obviously.
Hogan's best friend. Yeah.
Which means Bill Eadie got it too, if he wanted to.
All right, hold on. I'm pulling up the IMDb page for No Holds Barred.
Anytime I think of that movie, I always think of, what's that smell? Dookie.
Matter of fact, I got to see an indie horror movie with the guy who says Dookie in No Holds Barred. He's in this movie. It just came out this year. Plays a demented toy maker.
And James just said that Bruce Pritchard told the story on his podcast during the Beefcake episode.
We're doing our own research here, so Bruce Pritchard might be a freaking liar. So we'll have to see. Trust James. I don't trust Bruce.
But yeah, back to the.
I can't find anything.
All right.
No, I'm just skimming. It will probably require a little bit deeper research.
Bruce Pritchard may have misspoke. We'll have to find out.
But back to the Queen of the Ring thing. Horace said Bailey or Alexa Bliss. I don't think you need, if they were to do a Queen of the Ring, I don't think you need to give it to like a former women's champion. You need to give it to somebody who could use that Queen of the Ring win to get the title. Someone like a Nikki Cross, someone like a Peyton Royce, someone like a Shotzi Blackheart, someone like a Scarlett Bordeaux, someone like a Chelsea Green, someone that's not been women's champion yet.
I wouldn't mind. You just said Peyton Royce. I wouldn't mind seeing Peyton Royce versus Billie Kay in like the finals.
Yeah,
because the Iconics they had an amicable split. Or
despite the fact there was no need to split the Iconics up.
No.
Why not? If you're going to split them up, at least have them feud and have it lead into one of them getting a shot at the title. That's the least you could do, WWE. So, yeah. But yeah, back with the house shows being gone, it's like, yeah, I get, like, they don't make money off house shows. However, at the same time, it is going to suck that I'm going to have to try and just spend more money to go to a Raw or a pay-per-view in the future instead of going to Huntington, which is an hour away, which that was always like a close place to go.
House shows was where the wrestlers could really try shit out. And you get to see them do stuff you never got to see before. I saw a tag match at a house show. It was Dean Malenko and Perry Saturn against Kane and X-Pac. And I saw Kane do a double Dusty Rhodes elbow to Dean and Perry.
Oh, God, I just
We're not going to see that on TV.
No, you wouldn't. Or probably one of the most famous moments of like a house show craze was Undertaker in that 6-man tag. I don't know if you've seen it where he's like stomping on the steps, running on the apron with the water.
Fire up! Yeah,
that was awesome. Yeah, you'll never see that on TV. But
I got to see one time. It was the Rockers versus Demolition. This is at the Times Union Center in Albany, which formerly was the Pepsi Arena, which was formerly the Knickerbocker Arena. Mm-hmm. And back when it was the Knick Arena, it was Demolition against the Rockers. And it's a house show, nothing going on. Shawn Michaels is doing something to Smash, and you audibly hear Smash yell out, "What are you doing?"
Oh, Barry.
Oh, Barry.
And what's
saw the top rope snap during one time on the house show. So
when was that?
Oh, I don't remember.
Probably like 89, 90 at least.
That probably had like the real early years of the Knick. I think Knickerbocker opened in 89 or 90. One of the right around
90, 91. The main event for the first show they had was Mr. Perfect against Hulk Hogan, and Hogan of course won. You didn't have to ask, and it was a house shows after that. So I forget what the main event was. So yeah, it was like 91.
But yeah, and then another good example of something you wouldn't see on TV. It was always a tradition for John Cena every time he comes through West Virginia, which is where I went to for most of my house shows that I went to in Huntington. It was always tradition that Cena, anytime he goes to a house show in West Virginia, at the end of the show he sings Country Roads, and it was awesome. The one time I missed it. In 2011, they were in Charleston, West Virginia, which is a little bit further out, but I've been there before, where Cena and CM Punk sang Country Roads together. That was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like it's always cool. Like that's going to be the one thing I'm going to miss about no house shows is seeing funny stuff like that.
Goofy stuff, yeah.
And speaking of Kane,
the last WWF house show I went to was in December of 2017. I think it was 2017.
With the kids, right?
With the kids. Main event was Cena and Roman. But the highlight of the night was a cage match with Jason Jordan and Seth Rollins against Cesaro and Sheamus. And it was fucking good, like pay-per-view good.
Wow.
And just the way it was a classic cage match with the classic rules of, the first the two men to leave wins, get out of the cage.
Mhm.
And they just spent like 10 minutes teasing the fuck out of it. And Jason Jordan was the last guy left in there, and him just fucking fighting for his life. It was classic old school, just tag team wrestling psychology there of Jason trying to get past Sheamus and Cesaro. And after that match, the place just erupted when Jason managed to get out on time. And I said, anybody who talks bad about Jason Jordan, this match is going to make me defend this fucking kid every time about his abilities, because he was really, it was actually a really good match, and the kid sold his ass off. The other highlight, personal highlight for me, was Asuka and Dana Brooke versus Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss. So.
Yes.
that was a personal highlight for me too.
Last house show I went to, I couldn't tell you last WWE house show I went to, it was so long ago, but last house show I went to, I remember, was NXT at the Washington Avenue Armory in Albany, New York. Main event was a 6-man tag, and it was Nakamura, when he was champion, teaming with Gargano and Ciampa, and I forget who they were wrestling that night. But
not the Undisputed Era, was it? Or
no, not yet.
No.
Bob wasn't there yet.
The last house show I went to was September or October 2014 in Charleston. And I remember I went with my brother Rue, rest in peace, and his girlfriend at the time, Jessie. We all went together and got Jessie a Bray Wyatt fedora because she was such a huge Bray Wyatt fan. And the sheep mask. Their growing sheep mask. I forgot what I even got. I don't even know if I got myself anything, but I think the main event, if I can remember, I believe it was Corporate Kane versus Cena. I believe. I can't remember. It's been a while, but the first house show I went to was July 2002 in Huntington. Main event was a cage match between Chris Jericho and Triple H. Good match, but oh my god. The fucking referee, I think it was Kyoto, played dead for like what felt like 30 minutes in the cage. It's like, and my dad was joking about like, why is he just laying there for like 15 minutes? Because my dad is not a wrestling guy. My mom will watch it with me, but my dad, he hates the fact that me and my brothers were into wrestling. But he will watch any segment with Stone Cold beating the crap out of somebody. Whether it was Vince or Booker T, he'll always get a kick out of it. But I went
to 4 ECW house shows and 1 TNT taping.
I have actually one of the ECW house shows I went to in Middletown, New York on DVD, where you see me, my friend Scotty, and my friend Lee all sitting front row.
Was that when you got kicked out?
No, that was a different show. That was a different show. Once again, because of Scarsdale. Yeah. Well, he got kicked out, and then he was our ride, so we had to leave with him. So that's how that went. Yeah. So I mean that happened.
At least it was security sucks too.
Yeah, that's why. So we got to go a couple shows in Middletown. Then they kind of upgraded to the Mid-Hudson Civic Center in Poughkeepsie, where they did a couple pay-per-views and a few TV tapings.
Middletown had that blue light, right? That blue light in the background.
No, not. I didn't have that there.
No. Oh, it was a fairground, wasn't it?
It may have been. Yeah, I think it was a fairground, but this was inside. It wasn't outside.
Okay.
Yeah, it was in a building.
Which and then the last
three in Hudson, 1 in Schenectady, and I went to the one in Binghamton.
Yeah, that one. It was the Scott Hall weekend. They did Center City in Schenectady, New York, with Scott Hall coming out as a tag partner for it was Justin and Rhino against Tommy Dreamer and Scott Hall. Next night was TV taping in Poughkeepsie. Scott Hall showed up there, wrestled Justin Credible in a dark match, and wrestled Sal Lee Graziano in the opener dark match.
Put Sal over too.
Yes, and that was like 14 matches that night, some kind of crazy shit like that. Jerry Lynn and Sandman against and Steve Corino for the world title was that night. A bunch of other stuff. The matches are out there, probably you can find online or a video. But yeah,
never forget a bunch of us almost getting run over by the Dudleys because a bunch of people behind a couple guys behind us were heckling the Dudleys to the point I thought I thought they were both coming for me, and Jennifer was like almost ready to shit a brick. Yeah.
Ricky just
they
said
went right
that.
past me and went after the guys.
Yeah, Ricky
they
just
knew it
said
wasn't-
that the last house show he went to was the Raw, or last show he went to, Raw after Rumble 2017 when Joe debuted. I am still mad that they didn't let Joe show up at the Rumble in the Rumble match. I am still pissed about that. I am still pissed about that. Like,
Hey, I didn't like the fact they debuted AJ Styles in the Rumble. I thought that was a waste. But
regardless,
speaking
speaking of Kane,
they were going to do it to Kenny Omega too if he signed. He was going to debut at the Rumble. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways,
AJ.
Go figure.
Yep.
But anyways, though, speaking of Kane, I'm sure you guys have seen the Paul Bearer documentary that came out on the network this past week.
Not yet.
Oh,
It's
not
fun.
yet.
Fun.
It's a fun, but at the end, it's so sad.
Very sad.
Very, very sad. Like, I remember.
Find the shoot interview with Jim Cornette and Percy Pringle, and that's way more fun.
Yeah. And, like, I remember I was at the dentist when I found out he passed. Because it was on the news channel on the TV in the dentist office. But the funny thing, when they go into the classic ribs that he did or jokes, one of my favorites, according to Kane, back in the day when they were together, and Kane had a ski mask on or a towel over his head so you couldn't see his face, and people point out, there's Paul Bearer and Kane, and Kane was driving, and Paul in the Paul Bearer voice, it's a miracle, Kane can drive! Or him in the chair, and the chair stuck to his ass. Anyone seen The Undertaker? Get away from me!
My favorites were like with him ribbing Undertaker because
With
Taker
the
hates
cucumber.
cucumbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Sticking cucumbers in the fingers of his gloves, or putting a cucumber in his hat before he got to the ring, and floating in his iced tea when they went to the Waffle House after drinking all night. And he'd see and Taker would slip his tea, get right down the end of the tea, and there's that cucumber, and he starts vomiting.
Yeah, or as Mark Henry said on the episode of Table for Three with him, Kane, and Big Show, Mark comes back from an ankle injury and Paul tripped him.
Yep. Just to be a dick.
Yeah, just to
He was
be a
an
dick.
evil man. I love him to death, but he was an evil man.
And Big Show's like, I'm not going to say anything bad. That man treated me
Oh,
very
why?
well.
Paul, why? Do not make me use your real name.
He's like, I knew not to mess with him because I seen what he did to you two.
Exactly. Brutal ribbon.
Yeah.
Although there was the story that, and this is told on that shoot interview we talked about, that Paul would never let Undertaker drive. It would never allow the Undertaker to drive. So,
Mark, I'll drive.
Oh, no, Wendy, you're not going to drive.
exactly. Wendy and Pooh Bear, that was their nicknames. Watch the shoot interview.
Okay.
Watch the shoot interview. You'll find out all about it. Wendy and Pooh Bear. The most scintillating tag team of all time, Wendy and Pooh Bear. So,
which one's because Paul's Pooh Bear, right?
Yeah, and Taker's Wendy because of how he was a natural redhead, and apparently one day his hair gets caught in the wind and he looks like the Wendy's girl.
Yes, exactly. That's his nickname backstage. But anyway, the quick story I'm trying to tell.
I think we broke Walt.
That when Paul was he had to pee so bad, he really had to pee bad, but he had to stop to get gas. And as men, we know this. When you stop to get gas and you stick that hose in there and you start feeling that fluid flowing through, it just makes you want to freaking go even work. Oh, God damn. So he is like doing the pee-pee dance in the parking lot of this gas station, trying not to piss himself, and actually a little dribble starts to form on his pants.
Oh, God.
Taker notices, somehow gets contact to the building, and when they get to the building, in the locker room is a package of Depends.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Earmarked for Paul Bearer.
I can see Undertaker like Ball pissed his pants. We were driving and he's gassing up and he pissed his pants.
Yep.
What are we gonna do?
The precursor to McMahon 316.
Remember when you drug him down the aisle that time? Hey, Mark, remember when you drug Percy down the aisle? Because there was a lot of dragging ribs going on too. When wrestlers would get dragged from the ring, managers would. Yeah, because sometimes it wasn't a smooth drag. Sometimes it was rough. Sometimes there was a bump in the step. So, yeah. They're big on dragging in the WWE there.
Oh, yeah. And Ricky, oh, Wendy. That's a classic. And I still can't get over hearing Kane trying to do Paul Bear voice saying, "It's a miracle! Kane can drive!" And
he said that's what his Hall of Fame speech, too. He told that story, too.
Yeah. Oh, it still baffles me. Like, I was there in New Orleans when the Hall of Fame happened. I sadly wasn't in the arena because we got there an hour before the show happened. And my dad did not want to drive to the arena because he was freaking out trying to even find our hotel. But I watched on the network, and Mr. T, I love you, but shut up about your mama. You cost a couple of people some time in their speeches.
I love my mama.
Kane had to be the one to come out and say, "Your time is up."
Oh, thank you. Good night.
Oh my god.
Yeah, there's all kinds of crazy travel stories with Jim and Percy. A lot of great Southern travel stories and everything on there. You know,
but I think my favorite part of that interview was when they go after Kevin Dunn.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Like, come on, Mobile, Kevin. I'll make you some. Come to Mobile, hon. I'll make you some grits and eggs. Oh no, hell no. I think out of hearing that interview, I think the only people that hated Paul Bearer was Kevin Dunn and Sonny.
That's it. Yeah.
And that's it. Nobody else could say a bad thing about him.
I mean, they could, but he find out and they rib him. So you know.
Exactly.
You know who that was? Remember their shit in Jerry's Crown? Oh yeah, remember who that was? That was a fabulous thing, wasn't it? Stephen Kern.
I need to watch that.
Stephen Kern is an agent for the WWE. Ow, that hurt myself.
Oh, glory, Kevin Dunn, I hate you. He's like, I feel like I lost 30 more pounds.
You don't hate a lot of people, do you? No, but you do it well. Thank you.
Yeah. But I think that's a good note to end on with some good Paul Bearer stories. Long may he rest in peace.
Is
1999 Survivor Series.
1999. So read up, study up, join us next week. Join us.
If want what's yours. Life.
But before we go, it's plug time, Scott.
All right, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Mr. Scott Reacts, where I do reaction videos, all kinds of fun stuff coming in November and December. On my way to trying to get to 1,500, I am just around 55 short. So I think it's attainable to get that before the end of the year. So lots of fun stuff coming to the channel there. You also find me on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. Scott Reacts. Do not forget to subscribe to this channel, The Shadow Cult. We're trying to get to 100 before the end of the year. It's been great getting the support out there. And thank you, everybody who hung out in the chat tonight. All the usuals, people coming in, a couple of new faces coming in there as well. And Walter will tell you where you can find him and find me and him and other podcasting outlets.
You can find me and Scott and our friend Token Tom Clark and Skip Novak and Sergeant Fury Dan Roberts on the Necrocasticon for the latest in horror and metal. Join us every Monday night on your favorite podcast outlet, whether it's Spotify, Stitcher, Apple or Apple Podcasting, or wherever you get your fine ass podcasting.
And where do people find you?
You can find me right here.
And where else?
You can find me on Twitter at your Walt Ball. You can find me on Instagram at smoking_Walt_ball. And you can find me on Facebook.
And then finally, you can subscribe to me, Thrash Maniac 99. I kind of hit a bit of a subscriber spike the past week. I went up about almost 20 subs, which is cool because I think I could blame King Fat for that.
Yes.
So
King Fat.
Tell us about King Fat now.
So King Fat's a good friend of mine who people have seen him before. A couple years ago, he did some NASCAR race WTF moments, kind of him paying homage to King Ross from What Culture back in the day. He's coming back to do the NASCAR reviews on my channel, considering I'm not doing them anymore. But yeah, he even has his own Twitter at the King Fat, which Walt actually put him over big, saying, "Look out, Baron Corbin! There's our King."
Corbin. King Fat's coming.
Yeah, but not sure when the next time you'll see him. Maybe in January, possibly, or hell, even for a one-off. Can King Fat be a guest 1 week? He don't do podcasts. He will never do podcasts. He barely even wants to do commercials with me. So, yeah. But yeah, you can follow him at the King Fat on Twitter. But enough of that, dumbass. Anyways, yeah, you can subscribe to me on YouTube, ThrashManiac99. Big plug I want to give to my Twitch account, which I have been streaming on that tonight. Twitch.tv/ThrashManiac99, because other than the Shadow Cult podcast and maybe a Q&A on my channel and the Horseman podcast, any live stream I do from now on, going directly to Twitch, whether it's for gaming, what have you. Hell, in fact, maybe in 30 minutes I'll be live on Twitch again for Among Us with some friends, possibly. If not, tomorrow I'll be live for NCAA Football 07 again. After the debacle of last week where my Twitch account was suspended for a few days because of bullshit. Non-copyrighted, by the way, which is even stupider, but regardless. And then you can follow me on Twitter at ThrashManiac99. And one last thing. I want to end this episode off with an album recommendation for metalheads, including these two here. I discovered my new album of the year for 2020 so far. An album that came out on their Bandcamp last Friday. A band called Eternal Champion.
Oh, I already listened to it.
Yeah, Ravening Iron is the name of the album.
Fucking great record. Good.
Sounds straight out of the 80s.
He was talking about it.
Straight out of the 80s.
As I said in our little necro chat, I said it makes me want to get a denim vest and load it up with band backpack.
I got patches. I just need the denim vest to put them on. So that could happen one of these days. But yeah, my current album of the year, at least for now, maybe if Sodom's new album at the end of the month's better. Right now, Eternal Champion is my album of the year for 2020.
Right now, my album of the year is Abyss from Unleash the Archers.
I still need to listen to that.
You can see a whole review of it on my channel. A good 8-minute long review because it's a story. It's the second half of a story that started in their previous album, Apex. In my review, I go through the entire album, track by track, and story part by storyline. So,
and to describe Eternal Champion for those who want to, after hearing the name, think of Metallica riffs with a classic heavy metal attitude. Because there are a lot of riffs on the album that sound like 80s Metallica, like the Metallica riffs that Metallica never wrote. Is essentially what I would say.
Actually, Scott, if you could try and set that up for a reaction.
The whole album's on YouTube. It's not on CD. It's only on Bandcamp.
Yep, I'm making a
it's
note.
on vinyl. Our co-host on Necrocasticon, Tommy Clark, pre-ordered the vinyl. He'll be getting that soon.
Yeah, I might get the album when it gets on CD at some point.
I just made a note on my phone that I'll be doing.
Ravening Iron by Eternal Champion. Mm-hmm. And with all that said,
I am going to watch the Paul Bearer thing tonight. Will I cry?
Yeah. Maybe towards the end, possibly. I almost did.
It's sad when he talks about you know how it ends. Unfortunately,
we know what's coming.
But it begins with his wife.
But it's nicely done. Could have been a little longer, in my opinion, but it's nice.
But it's cool to see that they used all the interview footage of Paul Bearer from 2011 that they first used for the Stone Cold DVD.
Right. Yep.
So and then good that all of it's out there.
After that, go find the Jim Cornette Paul Bearer shoot interview.
I've watched little bits and pieces of that. I'll definitely want to dig further into that.
Yeah.
Yep. It's good driving material. You can listen to it.
Raven's podcast topic this week for this show is podcasting needs more nudity.
I can agree on that.
You don't get enough nudity in podcasting, do you, Bocchini? He's got two guys. He's got Rich Pacini, who is one of the MLW commentators, and a guy named Feeney. I can't remember who he is though, but he just fucking rips on both of them. They've replaced Stevie Richards and Blue Man. He makes them do all sorts of shit.
Of course,
so just for his amusement.
But anyways, the final note. Hey, Jackass, how are you doing tonight?
I have tried and tried to get you simple-minded people to subscribe to this channel. And if you don't, you are nothing lesser than a jackass.
So until next week for Survivor Series 1999, horns high. We'll see you next week. Same